Hello, hello everyone. Fine. Today we are going to discuss classical statistical mechanics and a microcanonical ensemble. We know that there are basically two categories of statistical mechanics. One is the classical statistical mechanics and another is quantum statistical mechanics. In quantum statistical mechanics, the quantum mechanical conditions are imposed, while in the classical statistical mechanics, the classical laws are obeyed. So today we are going to see the basics of classical statistics. The classical statistics is concerned with the properties of matter in equilibrium in empirical sense used in thermodynamics. So basically it is dealing with the thermodynamics in the equilibrium conditions. The aim of statistical mechanics is to derive all equilibrium properties of a macroscopic molecular system from the laws of molecular dynamics. So it is concerned with the macroscopic molecular system. It also aims to derive not only the general laws of thermodynamics, but also the specific thermodynamic functions of a given system. So it derives the specific thermodynamic functions also. We'll see that which type of thermodynamic functions it will derive. Statistical mechanics does not describe how the system approaches the equilibrium and also does not describe whether a system can ever be found in the equilibrium. It only tells what the equilibrium situation is for a given system. So it is something like knowing the present status of our bank balance. If we know that we want to see the present status of bank balance, it gives the current balance only. But if you want to see that how this balance is achieved by depositing money or by withdrawing money, then we have to go for a statement of account that will tell that this current balance is achieved by withdrawing money or depositing money. So it only tells the current situation, but it does not tell that how the situation is achieved. Consider a classical system composed of a large number of molecules N occupying large volume capital V. So here, when we consider a large volume, then N is of order of 10 to the power 23 molecules, and V is also of the order of 10 to the power 23 molecular volumes. It is convenient to consider N tends to infinity and V tends to infinity. And V by N is a specific number, that is a volume V, and it is known as a specific volume of a given finite of a given system, which is a finite number. Now we come to small definitions. One is the isolated system. The system will be regarded as isolated in the sense that the energy is constant of motion. So whenever the energy is constant of motion, it does not change, then it is considered to be the isolated system. However, this idealized situation, which is not truly possible, the fact is that the measurements can be performed on the system necessitates some interaction between the system and the external world. If this interaction with the external world is sufficiently weak, then the system remains approximately constant, which can be regarded as isolated. Now let us consider a small box, and we consider that it is a black box, means no light enters into that box. We paint it with a black color and we wrap it with the black paper so that it remains completely black. Inside the box, not single photon can enter, no light can enter. So we consider it is a black box, but we want to test it, that whether it is a completely black box or not. So that we have to perform some measurements. So we put a tiny hole and we introduce a tiny probe so that it can detect whether it is a completely black box or some light is entering into the box. As soon as we make a tiny hole, millions of photons enter into the box and it does not remain ideally a black box. But there is a small hole so that very little light is entering. So we can consider as an isolated system. So whenever we try to perform some measurement, it interacts with the external world and it does not remain truly isolated. But if it does not disturb the system at large, then we can consider as isolated. Similarly, the things are with the thermoflask. In thermoflask, there is no interaction with the external world. If the interaction is truly isolated or no interaction with the external world, then whatever we put inside the thermoflask for indefinite time, it should remain cold or hot. But we know that in thermoflasks, whatever we put inside, it remains cold or hot for some time. But then it comes to the equilibrium temperature. So these systems are uh, having a connection with the external world. Another small part is the canonical equations. A state of the system is uniquely and completely defined by 3n canonical coordinates. Those are q1, q2 up to q3n, and 3n momenta p1, p2 up to p3n. These are represented by canonical variables p and q. The dynamics of the system is shown by Hamiltonian H function p and q. The canonical equations, these are famous Hamiltonian equations. So del H pq divided by del pi is q dot I. Del H by del qi is equal to minus p dot I. And these are represented by equation number 2. It is convenient to introduce 6n-dimensional gamma space or phase space, in which each point represents a state of the system or vice versa. So each point represents a state of a system. Why we are using the gamma space? Because if you look into equation number 2, it is written in phase space. Phase space means involving moment and coordinate. So both the equations are written in the phase space. And that is why equation number 2 represents in a phase space. And any motion taking place, it will be represented in a phase space. Now, in the another short definition is the energy surface of energy E. So the locus of all points in gamma space satisfying the condition that Hamiltonian of P and Q is equal to E or energy defined as a surface, and it is called energy surface of E. Now we have already considered that Hamiltonian equation of motion are written in phase space. So any atom or molecule or any particle moving in that particular phase space can be represented by locus. Now on the right hand side, the diagram is shown. The ball is rolling on a surface. The center of the ball is having a locus of a straight line, which is represented by a parallel line to the surface or a ground level. Now the ground level shows the equal energy in a Cartesian coordinate system. So whenever the ball is rolling, the rolling is taking place in equal energy. So there is no uneven surface. So it is moving in an equal energy. Now, if there are large number of balls rolling, then again they are showing an equal energy. And large number of balls of the same size, again they are showing the equal energy, and they are rolling on the same surface. And their locus again shows the equal energy. Now that locus forms a surface, and that locus forms the surface that is known as energy surface E. So that is represented in form of a geometrical representation on a right-hand side figure. So whenever particles are moving in a phase space, if they are having equal energy or energy is constant, and these particles locus is forming a surface, and that surface is having a same energy, and that is why it is known as a energy surface of energy E. From equation 2, the system evolves in time, and the representative points trace out a path in gamma space. Because these equations are written for the phase space, these paths are always have same energy surface, and because the energy is conserved. So if energy is conserved, they have a same energy surface. Now we come to another definition part, and that is the Gibbsian ensemble. For capital N particles having volume V, if the energy is lying between E and E plus delta, and delta is a very small value, so that energy is lying between E and E plus delta, small energy interval, then there are infinite number of states satisfying these conditions. And therefore, considering not only a single system, but of an infinite number of mental copies of the same system existing in all possible states satisfying the given condition. The mental picture of such a collection of systems is called the Gibbsian ensemble. Now let us take an example. Let us consider that the students of a particular school having height 5 feet and 5 feet 5 inches. Then these are the height variation. We have selected a variation in height 5 feet and 5 feet 5 inches. So there are a certain number of students falling in this height range. So they are forming a one type of ensemble. If we consider that particular school, then we can consider or we can extend our things to nearby school. Again, there are some students having height between 5 feet and 5 feet 5 inches. We can extend further into the city, further into the district, further into the state, further into the country. So every time the condition is 5 feet 5 inches height, large number of students, and mostly if the students are of the same interval, then their body shape and other things are almost similar. So if we take a mental copies like that, then it forms a one type of an ensemble, and that resembles the Gibbsian ensemble. In our example, we have taken the height of a student between 5 feet and 5 feet 5 inches. But here in the Gibbsian ensemble, instead of height, we are taking the energy interval. It is E and E plus delta. So larger number of particles are obeying this condition. They have energy between E and E plus delta. And if we are considering the various systems having volume V and n number of particles, then again these conditions are imposed. There are large number of particles. And if you are considering the mental picture, similar mental picture, then that particular collection of the system is known as a Gibbsian ensemble. Gibbsian ensemble, it is represented by a distribution of points in a gamma space. So usually it is represented as the distribution of points in a gamma space and characterized by a density function, that is rho, function of P, Q, and T, and defined in the following way. So the density function or the distribution of points in a gamma space that is represented by the Gibbsian ensemble, that is rho P, Q, T, D3NP, D3NQ. That is the number of representative points contained in volume element, that is volume element represented in the gamma space, D3NP, D3NQ, that is a volume element, and located at PQ. These are the coordinates in a gamma space or a phase space at time t. So at time t, at a location P and Q in the gamma space, the volume element is represented as D3 and P, D3 and Q, and the number of points within that volume are represented as density function. Now we come to the next slide. Liouville theorem. Using the following form of Liouville theorem, it is del rho by del T plus summation 1 to 3n del rho by del Qi, del H by del Pi, minus del H by del Qi, del rho by del Pi, and that is equal to 0. And we call it as the equation number 4. In geometrical language, it states that the distribution of points in gamma space moves like incompressible fluid. So it is an imagination that the density of points in a gamma space, they are moving with time like a incompressible fluid. Usually the fluid can be compressed, but if fluid cannot be compressed, it is moving like a fluid but cannot be compressed. So it is an imaginary thing. It is an imaginary fluid which cannot be compressed. So in a geometrical language, it can be considered like that. Considering an ensemble whose density function do not depend explicitly or clearly on time and depends on PQ only through the Hamiltonian. So we consider an ensemble whose density function, means distribution of points, do not depend on time, but they depend only on P and Q through Hamiltonian. So density function is density function rho of P and Q, and that depends only rho prime of H P Q. That depends only on H, not on T, and that is represented as equation 5. Here, the rho prime H is a function of H only, and the second term on the left-hand side of equation 4 is 0. Because that term becomes 0, it does not depend on time. Therefore, del by del T, rho PQ is equal to 0. And if it is equal to 0, then quantity is constant. So therefore, the ensemble described by rho PQ is the same for all times. It is a constant, and that is why it does not change with the time. So the density function represented by rho PQ is constant in time. It does not change with the time. Now we come to the postulates of classical statistical mechanics. When a microscopic system is in thermodynamic equilibrium, its states is equally likely to be any state satisfying a macroscopic condition of the system. So when we consider that microscopic system is in thermodynamic equilibrium, so its states is likely to be any state satisfying macroscopic condition of the system. So it may be likely to satisfy the macroscopic condition of the system which it contains. This postulate implies that in thermodynamic equilibrium, the system under consideration is a member of an ensemble. So if we consider a small system in a big thermodynamic system under the equilibrium, then it is a member of an ensemble, and that is called as a microcanonical ensemble. The density function is having a following nature. So rho function PQ is constant if energy is lying between E less than Hamiltonian less than E plus delta. So if Hamiltonian is between two energy limits, then it is a constant. And otherwise, when it is not within this energy region, then it is equal to 0. So now we consider this something like a institute. In institute, wherever the laws of institutes are equally applicable to all members of the institute, because the condition is that member of the institute. But the laws are not applicable to the members or people who are not belonging to that particular institute. So the condition is 0. The laws are equally applicable for the people from the institute, and that is represented by E and E plus delta. So this is the condition. Within that condition, E plus delta, the density points are constant and density function is constant. It is applicable equally. And outside that region, it is 0. So obviously, in our society also, for any particular institution, the laws are applied to the people belonging to that institution. But outside the institution, laws are not applicable, and that is why it is 0. And laws are equally applicable, or norms are equally applicable to people who are within the institution. So this is quite logical. In society also, this is quite logical for classical statistical mechanics, and these postulates are quite common and logical one. All members of canonical ensembles have the same number of particles and same number of same volume. Now we come to the average values, which are also very important in classical statistical mechanics or in statistical mechanics. Suppose f function PQ is a measurable property of the system, that is energy and momentum. So in this particular function, energy and momenta are the measurable quantities. When the system is in the equilibrium, the observed values of f function PQ is obtained by averaging f PQ over microcanonical ensemble in some way. So we try to average it out, or we try to get average value in the microcanonical ensemble for FPQ. If postulate of equal a priori probability is to be useful, then all manners of averaging must give the same answer. So all the manners applicable to the microcanonical ensemble in a different averaging method should be give the same answer. The most probable value of FPQ is the value of FPQ that is possessed by large number of systems in the ensemble. Large number of systems in the ensemble. And that is known as a most probable value. Now, let us come to our example of a school children who are having height between 5 feet and 5 feet 5 inches. Now, large number of students having this interval height. So between this interval, certain number of students will have a 5 feet height, certain number of students will have a 5 feet 5 inches height, certain number of students will have height 5 feet 3 inches. Let us assume that the large number of students are having height 5 feet 3 inches. So it is most probable value. Out of that, large number of students are having the same value of height, and that is the most probable value. And that also happens in our day-to-day life, that there are certain average values which are possessed by large number of people. Similarly, the few students are having very they are very tall, and a few students are very short, but most of the students are having average height, and that average height is having the most probable value. Means mostly the students are having this value of height. It is the most probable value. Now we come to the next slide. The ensemble average of FPQ is defined by, that is the ensemble average F integration D3NP D3NQ FPQ rho PQ divided by integral D3NP D3NQ rho PQ, and represented by equation 8. Now the ensemble average and most probable values are nearly equal if the mean square fluctuation is small. Now again, we know that there are certain number of students are very short, certain number of students are very tall, and most of the students are having nearly same height. So that shows the distribution of height. But if this distribution is very small, so large number of students are having same height, only very little students are having very short or tall, and that is why the fluctuations are very small. In that case, the ensemble average and most probable values are nearly equal. If the tall and short students number is very less, then the ensemble average and most probable values are nearly equal. But if tall student and short students number is large, then ensemble average and most probable values are not nearly equal. So that is decided by the mean square fluctuations. Mean square fluctuation shows that the how many are tall, how many are short, and their fluctuations decides that ensemble average and most probable values are nearly equal or not. Now this example we have taken for the classroom to understand, but that actually is applicable to the gamma space, and considering our system with the energy E and E plus delta. So instead of height in our system, we have an energy E plus E and E plus delta. There we are considering the window of energy. In our example of day-to-day life, for the students, we are considering the height. So height 5 feet and 5 feet 5 plus 5 inches. But for the particles, we cannot consider like that. So we have considered E and E plus delta. This is the energy interval. So this ensemble average and most probable values are equal when if the mean square fluctuations are very small. The formula is given. In all physical cases, the mean square fluctuations are of the order of 1 upon n. So n is the number. Thus, in the limits as n tends to infinity, the ensemble average and most probable values become identical. So if n tends to infinity, we know that 1 upon infinity, that becomes a very large number. So ultimately it tends to 0. So the mean square fluctuation becomes 0. And in that case, the ensemble average and most probable values are nearly equal or equal. For further reading, I suggest that Statistical Mechanics by Huang. Now we come to the, as usual, the dedication to the contributor. So Josiah Willard Gibbs, born in 1893, 1839, and passed away in 1903. Gibbs, an American physicist, and who has given contribution in physics, chemistry, mathematics. His contribution to physical chemistry through thermodynamics is very remarkable. So we acknowledge Josiah Willard Gibbs for his contribution in thermodynamics as well as in statistical mechanics. And now I come to the last slide, which is again a very interesting one. Thank you very much for your patient hearing. This is a picture I have taken in Tamil Nadu. The place is known as Salem, where on a one hilltop, 1,000 Shiva temples are there. You will see that each small temple is have a Shivalinga and Nandi. It's a large collection of Shiva temple. And 1,000 and odd Shiva temples are there on the hill. Again, it is representing a statistical ensemble. So thank you very much for patient hearing. And now I stop sharing the slides. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now we end our meeting here. Thank you.